He tries to intervene and stop the assault, but one of the scabbers, the one with the checkered sleeve, brings out a stout hatchet with a wickedly bearded blade to greet the man. He swings the hatchet in a wide arc and splits the drunken man's skull open from the top of his head to the bridge of his nose. The Exclusion Zone, a Norcom Union story, by Nicholas K. Part 2. Crack! The slug rebounds off his ribs and spins out over the roof's edge. It clatters to the ground, and I make a mental note to go find it before I leave this place. These things are too good to just let them go. 3 questions, Scabber, and we're done here, I say to the naked man writhing at my feet. I might even cut you loose if you answer quickly enough. He's a Scabber, a wasteland tech worshiper, maybe half a head shorter than me, with wind-beaten skin and plague scars and all bone and lean, sinewy muscle. Catching him wasn't that hard. When he made it to the roof, it was just a matter of baiting him to follow where I wanted him to go, overpowering him and stripping him to bare flesh. These interrogations usually go better when they don't think they can just wait me out. So now he lays there, ankles fixed to a railing at the roof's edge, shivering, his willpower rapidly breaking down. It's already been half an hour of question, retort, pain, and question again. He's starting to talk. Now it's a question of how long he can hold out against the frigid, toxic air under pressure. Will the pain of his injuries make him crack first, or the freezing air? Destiny? I ask. You said Destiny was listening when you were talking to your crew before I started laying your boys out. Who exactly is she? He lays there, naked, wrists zip-tied behind him, ankles zip-tied to a metal railing running atop the rooftop parapet, writhing and scowling at me. He spits curses in wastelandish so thick I can't even begin to understand what he's saying. I hit him again with the wrist rocket. Not even a quarter pull, just a little motivation to cooperate. Second, what are you people doing out here? I ask, popping another slug into the cup and pulling it tight. He flinches and rolls awkwardly onto his side so his back is facing me. And last, I need to find some people, I say, and you're going to tell me where to find them. He continues spitting curses at me from over his shoulder. I relax my draw on the slug and let it go. It strikes him in the thigh and clatters to the ground. I pocket it while he howls. The faster you answer, the sooner this ends, I say. I don't want to do this. I just want to go home. But if you make me, then we'll play this game till you freeze to this rooftop. Play nice, and things will go easier for both of us. He rolls back over so he's facing me again and begins growling in that crawling, snarling dialect of his. You're lucky, you know, he coughs up at me through a bloody grin. She likes you, thinks you're interesting, he says. Wants to know more about you, and she always gerts what she wants. She could have had you killed any time she wanted to, he says. She has 7 ways from Sunday to do you in, you know, but she wants you for her very own. I dismiss the implied threat and zero in on the meat of his comment. She? You mean this Destiny I heard you talking about back down below? That her name? I ask. He nods, face split by a wicked, bloody grin. Is this Destiny your leader or something? I ask. Something like thart, he says. So, set up a meeting. She can get to know me face to face, I say, suspicion settling in, like walking into a room I know is trapped, but wanting to see what's in there anyway. Oh, big brother, she'd love that, he says, eyes widening. But that's not how it works. You need to pass her tests first. Pass her tests, I ask. Like what kind of tests? That suspicion settles in more deeply now. He shrugs his shoulders and talks between shivers. Not everyone can just talk to her. Most people can't take it. Drives them mad, he says. She needs to know you can handle her. I look him up and down. What exactly does that mean, I ask. I already said Nort, everyone's ready for her, he says, exasperated. Not ready how, I ask. She's so much bigger than all of hers, your kind and mine. Everything about her is just too much for most people to handle, he says, but she wants to talk to us, wants us to know her. That what these candidates are all about? I ask, finding the right people to meet her? He nods, looking me in the eye with a look of reverence that's out of place on a face like that. Tell me about these tests, Scaver, I say. Can't tell you, Murch. Different for everyone, he says. But, he goes on, anyone can start 'em. You already started. You just don't know it. Gotta get ogged. To finish 'em, though. He says that last part while looking me up and down, contempt etched deeply into his face. And that thing you got stuck in your head ain't a newer. Already started. What do you mean, I ask. My skin crawls. That thing stuck in my head? How the hell would he know about the aggression regulators? He just laughs. What do you mean, odd, I ask. Why does someone need to be augmented to finish these tests? She needs to have some way to talk to you, he says. Is that why your boys only go after people with neuromesh, I ask. He nods again. Can't imagine all those people downstairs wanted to meet this destiny of yours, I say. No one's going to leave the city for some fucked up tests with scum like you, not willingly. He nods. We used to do the surgery and implant them ourselves. Then your friends in PerbSec started hitting our surgical centers. So we figured, why not just run into the city, take him away from the lies of your grandfather and his filthy ether network, and show him the truth of destiny? Guess it didn't go as well as you fucks thought it would, eh? I ask. What makes you say that, big brother? The Scaver asks with suspicion in his voice, turning his face away from mine slightly and watching me from the corner of his eye. I fold the wrist rocket up into its case attached to the back of my left glove, then turn away from the man, the thing, zip-tied to the rooftop. You don't think I tracked you fucks all the way out here for nothing, do you? I ask. He shrugs again. All right, since you bring it up, let's see, I say. I unfurl my phone's holofilm screen from the protective aluminum housing beside the slug pouch attached to the underside of my left forearm. Nope, 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 there, I mumble as I flip through files on a Mission Buddy job sheet. A video fills the screen and I play it for the Scaver. The video is shot on someone's cell phone from the second or third floor of a building. It depicts a girl with her face pressed into a hole busted through a section of pedestrian walkway back in NorCap. Gray water from the adjacent residential tower sloshes up over her head. Men clad in the olive-green surplus army trench coats, favored by the scavenger gangs in the eastern exclusion zones, surround her. All but two of them have stripes of red and black on the left sleeve. One of them has nothing adorning his sleeve. The other has a checkered pattern running from shoulder to cuff. All of them are either wearing heavy industrial respirators or have them slung over their shoulders. They're in a narrow alleyway nestled at ground level among the towering residential blocks of NorCap. Dumpsters and piles of trash crowd the background. The waste pipe runs through a fence, spilling its contents into what looks like a concrete-sided canal. The girl struggles fruitlessly to push herself out against the large hands of a man that towers at least a head over his companions. The girl's head emerges from the filth several times, and the Scavers laugh raucously each time her hands slip off the jagged edges of the hole and she plunges back in. A man in a business suit, necktie pulled loose and wrinkled by a long day at the office and a long night drinking, enters the video frame. Drunk off his ass by the way he sways and stumbles, he approaches the gang of green-clad Scavers with his arms stretched out wide. He tries to intervene and stop the assault, but one of the Scavers, the one with the checkered sleeve, brings out a stout hatchet with a wickedly bearded blade to greet the man. He swings the hatchet in a wide arc and splits the drunken man's skull open from the top of his head to the bridge of his nose. The Scaver plants his foot on the man's chest to pull his hatchet free of his head. The would-be hero convulses once, then collapses to twitch and cool in the deep shadows of the alleyway. The wind gusts, greedily dragging away the courage evaporating from the pool of blood rapidly spreading from his head. The men's laughter reverberates through the canyon-like alley, all but Hatchet Man. He turns back to the girl and unceremoniously hacks her left arm off with a few short, precise strikes. He squeezes the appendage until the blood flowing out of it slows to a trickle before bundling it up in plastic and stuffing it, along with the newly installed neuromesh implant flashing red and yellow trauma warning lights on her forearm, into his backpack. The girl writhes momentarily against the unforgiving hands before becoming still and slipping further into the pipe. I can't stop a wince and a scowl from spreading over my face. The scaver, eyes fixed on mine, doesn't miss the change of expression. His eyes grow large and round. One of the men in the video raises his arms over his head as if to stretch and exposes a familiar-looking insignia patch on his left shoulder. I pause the video and look toward the door to the roof access shed. His eyes follow mine. The steel-skinned door, painted a faded sky blue, creaks and sways in the wind. A quilted, olive-colored long coat is hanging from the top corner of the door. Alternating black and red stripes run down the left sleeve. Above it, just above the stripes, is a recovery operations patch crudely stitched to the shoulder. "Come on, do you really think you can bullshit me?" I ask, raising an eyebrow and staring him flat in the face. "Somehow, I doubt she wanted any part of what you fucks are up to out here," I say. "And you're going to tell me the rest of your guests did?" He shrugs again. "Could be talking about the weather over a cup of tea. She wants to know our kinds, wants us to know her. Can't make that happen if we sit around with our cocks in our horns waiting for people to warn her out here," he says as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "Mankind would go extinct and the world would forget about us before enough people come and pass the tests." "Why does she want to meet people? Who is she? What's her purpose?" I ask. Again, he pauses, considering. "You've wandered half the blight looking for us, but you don't even know who she is," he asks, genuinely dumbfounded. Unsure how to answer, I keep quiet, choosing instead to narrow my eyes and wait for him to go on. "She lorves us, all orf us, warrants to save us, both your kind and ours, warrants to send us up to the stars," he says. "Luck we were meant to." His voice is thick with wonder, an innocence that is somewhat disarming. It's not the kind of reaction you'd expect from a face like his. I turn away from him and lean over the parapet, looking for the slug that flew down this way to give myself a moment to think. As I do, the winds whisper to me, inviting me to lean out a little more, a little bit more, just a little more, look more closely, see what else I can find. I shake my head to get the whispering out. Sometimes it's just a little too inviting. My eyes are inevitably drawn up to survey the blasted, wintry hellscape sprawled out in all directions. Even after all these years, my breath still catches when I take in the desolate beauty and the soul-numbing bleakness of the wasteland. Can't see very far. Maybe a kilometer on a good day. The winds are angry today, though. The dust storms reach up to strangle the sun, and the land is blanketed in permanent twilight. I can hardly make out the residential towers only a few hundred meters away on the north side of the canal. The auto freighter tracks to the west are lit up like a summer afternoon. The lighting only covers the rail bridge crossing over the river, though. The tracks are swallowed up by a dense copse of standing deadwood bordering the western side of the residential compound. Everything to the south and east is hidden by the raging, toxic dust storms. I lift my eyes to the sky, and for half a moment, an image swims through the synthetic, memory-regulating hormones and decades of psychiatric conditioning meant to make people like me forget the old world. A vast network of orbital ladders, space stations, and other infrastructure as visible to the naked eye on clear nights as the moon itself. I'm overcome by sorrow deep as the sea and heavy as the mountains. I can feel the hiss of the aggression regulators switching modes and injecting a cocktail of narcotics and hormones into my skull. The image fades from my mind, and all that's left above me is a swirl of black and gray, broken up only by occasional silent flashes of sheet lightning in the upper layers of the ceaseless dust storm. I turn my attention to the little foldable solar charging array I set up before dropping down into the facility to pay these guys a visit. Nothing. Not a single bar was added to my power bank. I want to scream in frustration. I want to kick the fucking thing over the roof. Would have been better to bring the hand-crank generator. Detecting the rage brewing inside me, the aggression regulators begin to spin up inside my head. The pressure grows in my veins as precursor begins to surge through me. My jaw muscles clench and my teeth set to grinding. Soon, the regulators will dump a load of synthetic hormones blended to piss me off and fill me with the urge to kill. I'm forced to sit down on the parapet and meditate to put them back to sleep. Can't afford to lose it on this guy. Not now. Not right when he's talking. Not when I'm so close to going home. Can't afford the hit to my SoCred botching a job like this would cost. I suck in a deep breath and hold it till my lungs burn, then let it out slowly and repeat until my heartbeat slows and the whirring in my head dies down. The wind catches the steam coming out of the exhaust port of my respirator and drags it away. I turn back to the scaver. The solitary lamp bolted over the rooftop access shed's faded green door casts a bubble of light around our little corner of the ruined sanitation facility. The dingy orange halo surrounding it gives it the appearance of an unblinking eye watching us. Its steady glow is an anchor to the world battered by the ceaseless winds that whip the roiling, inky haze of the exclusion zone around us. Its light is reflected off the man's pale, scar-laden skin like a signal beacon. So, you told me one thing. This Destiny, she's your boss or something. Hit on another thing. You're doing some sort of tests out here trying to find people to meet her, I say. Tell me more. Where'd your friends run off to in such a hurry, I ask. This time he doesn't react, just clams up and zips his trap shut. You were doing good. Tell me what I want to know so we can wrap this up, I say. He doesn't react. Come on, Scaver, don't make me do it, I say, unfolding the wrist rocket and dropping a slug into the cup. He looks away from me, his nose curling up into a sneer. I hit him again with the wrist rocket. Once, twice, 5 hits all up and down his torso. None of them hard enough to break bones, just enough to hurt. He reels from the pain, shouting curses at me. Come on, man, I don't want to do this. I just want to finish up and go home. Tell me what I want to know and this will all be over, I say. The scavenger's sneer could cut stone and the heat in his eyes melt ice. Let me go, Nurcapper, he cries. I told you about Destiny, now let me go. 3 questions, Scaver, 3. You were doing good, you answered one and started to answer the second one. Keep talking, and none of this is necessary, I say. You told your boys to link up with the rest of your crew. That means you didn't finish number 2 yet. Start with that. You said you wanted to know about Destiny, what we were doing out here, and some people, he says. I answered the first 2. Why should I tell you where they went? So you can hunt them down, kill them like rot dogs, so I can arrest them and send them to Norcap for trial, I say. It's not going to happen, Norcapper. Finish your questions and leave. I don't want to kill anyone that I don't have to. I just want to finish this up, find who I'm looking for, and fucking go home. And what about Meh, he asks. You said you'd cut me loose. Yeah, if you were quick. Make my life easy, and I'd go easy. But here we are. Look what you're making me do, and yet you still won't talk, I say. How about this? How about I just tag you right here, right now, and call in PubSec, I ask. How about we see what they think we should do with some nobody of a scaver blocking an official union investigation into scavers abducting our people? He swallows hard and blinks his eyes a few times. PubSec, he asks hesitantly. Yeah, sure, why not? They'll get it out of you and have a lot more fun doing it, I say. I just want to send in a completion report, get paid, and go home. I want a hot shower, some hot food, some hot tea, and sleep for the next week. But you just won't let that happen. So why the fuck should I let you go when you're making this so bleeding hard? I ask. He lowers his eyes and chews on his lip, turning his head back and forth like he's following some internal dialogue. Several minutes pass with no reply. Every second he wastes, those friends of his get further and further away. My current travel pass gets closer to 0, and the longer my targets have to wait for rescue. Frustration finally gets the better of me, and I shout, Rust and ruin, Scaver! I'm trying to help you out here. Don't make this harder than it has to be. He stares at me. His expression shifts from stubborn frustration to anger to fear and back again. Who's coming for you? Who's gonna save you from this? All you're doing is signing your own death warrant. You aren't helping them. I will find them, with or without you. There are only a few questions. Do I find them and go home today or tomorrow? Will I be the ones to arrest them and offer them a deal for cooperating? Or is PubSec gonna come out here and make them wish they'd never been born? His expression settles on anger and he explodes. Wastes curse ya! He says at last. Curse you in your ash-blighted PubSec. He sets his mouth in a frown and stares me dead in the face. I sigh and shake my head before turning back to the wasteland and just watching it, letting my mind turn over. An hour wasted on this slug, and his friends get further and further away with each minute gone. Let's give this one last shot.
Public Security, Division of Human Resources, Public Service Announcement. Citizen attention is required. Commissar Chen reminds you, subscribing and liking will be rewarded with increased rations. Commenting and sharing will be rewarded with a social credit boost. But failure to comply